Fellas, let's have a day. Let's have a day, guys. Come on. I think one of you guys is going to take down this 100K to first. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Hart. I'll be breaking down this NBA showdown slate for the only playoff game we have tonight between the Lakers and the Warriors here on DraftKings. $100,000 up top to first place, so a ton of money to be won. I'm really expecting either one of you guys or me to take it down. Let's have a day, fellas. Come on. Let's do it. So I'll be talking through who my favorite captain plays are, my favorite utility plays, some strategies, all that good stuff in this breakdown, minute rotations, all that good stuff. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. I can't thank you guys enough for all the support recently. It's been huge. So if we get 40 likes in this video, that'd be great. And let's get into the breakdown. Before I get into this breakdown, just want to say follow me on Twitter at HeartDFS. And then a quick recap of my lineup from last night. It was looking like it was going to be a fantastic night. Was in the top 100, top 50, about halfway through the third quarter, and obviously the Celtics went on like a 30-0 run and blew out the 76ers there at the end of the third quarter. Went up by 32, won by 32, and obviously the starters got pulled at the end of the third quarter from both sides. Celtics and 76ers, and obviously none of them played in the fourth quarter. So Jaylen Brown, which was my core captain play there, my optimal captain, he was a core play. Same thing with Embiid, same thing with White. And Jaylen Brown was looking like he was going to be the optimal captain of the night. He was fantastic, but obviously the game blew out. So really ruined my chances. I went from top 50 to minimum cash, but still cash. Can't complain about it. If the game stayed close, stayed competitive like it was the first two quarters, it would have been a very, very realistic chance of me taking down last night. So not much you can do about that. But moving on to tonight's, looking to continue the success of the core plays recently. They've been on fire. So we'll get into this one game showdown slate here for tonight. As I mentioned, 100K up top to first place, so a ton of money to be won. So super pumped to watch this game here. The Lakers won game one, so I'm really expecting the Warriors to come out hot here and win game two. So for the Lakers side, it comes down to ownership for me in the captain spot. So I prefer right now slightly going to LeBron James over Anthony Davis. He is slightly cheaper. Anthony Davis probably has the safer floor between the two. And like his floor right now in the playoffs has pretty much been 40, if not closer to 45. He's gone for a double double in 7 out of the 8 games. He's playing close to like 44 minutes every game. So he looks fantastic. Like it's really hard not to, plug him into your lineup, whether it's the captain or the utility spot, as kind of just a main fixture. So I love him, but it's one of those things. I talked about him in the first game there on my Patreon. He's a core play for me. I talked about how I expected him to be super, super aggressive going against, small Draymond Green, who's 6'6". Looney's what, 6'8", 6'9" at most. Anthony Davis is 6'11". I expected him to be super, super aggressive, and they really needed him, and that's what he did in game one. So I was all over him. He did fantastic. It was great to see. Went for 30, 25, 5 and 4. Excuse me, 30, 23, 5 and 4. Can't even talk. 75 fantasy points. And it's one of those things where we've seen games like this from AD where he'll have a huge game, and then the following game he'll not do much. So that is the slight risk with him. At times he gets super, super aggressive, but that's the AD they need. They need Anthony Davis to go out there and shoot 20 to 25 times, if not more, every game, be super, super aggressive because no one on the Warriors can stop him. So he's going to have to draw double teams, maybe even triple teams at times to get the ball out of his hands, make other people try to beat the Warriors. But yeah, I love Anthony Davis. I'm expecting him to be super, super popular today because he was only 33% owned on that 2-game slate, which was super surprising. But yeah, I expect a lot of people to look at the box score, be like, oh, I messed up. I didn't play him last slate. I'm playing him tonight and playing him in the captain, which, as I mentioned, fine play. We know the floor has been huge. The ceiling is huge on him. But if he's going to be like 10% or more higher owned compared to like a LeBron or Steph, I'm going to go to LeBron or Steph just because of the ownership difference. But love AD. As I mentioned, I love LeBron. He's just been shooting god awful from three since the playoffs started. As you can see, 3 of 8, 1 of 8, 0 of 4, 1 of 7, 1 of 9, 2 of 5, 1 of 8. This man is shooting like 10% from three. He's maybe, let's see, was it 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9? He's 9 of like 40, 9 of 45 from three, whatever the math is there. God awful. But we know he's double double upside. We know he's triple double upside. And I expect a way better shooting game from LeBron here. Anthony Davis kind of took over. LeBron still shot it 24 times and still went for 47 fantasy points. So his ceiling is not as safe, or excuse me, his floor is not as safe as AD, just because AD, pretty much has gone for a double double every game, gets those extra points there. and he's really good at getting blocks. So it's like he's kind of had that safe and consistent floor from a guy like 80. LeBron's a little bit more inconsistent just because at times it's like sometimes he's a scorer, sometimes he's more of a playmaker. Um, and for that reason alone, as you can see, he does have some games where he only goes for like mid 30s, mid to high 30s. But we know the ceiling is there with the triple and double upside. So right now, I do really like LeBron compared to AD in the captain spot just because probably the ownership difference just alone. That's kind of the play there. But you're gonna want to get to at least one of LeBron and AD, if not both of them, just because they're pretty much the whole team there. They're like 90 to 95% of the offense. So it's if this game stays close, it's most likely going to be because of those two. In the mid range here, I prefer Reeves over Russell. Um, in terms of, let me go back over the rotation here for the Lakers. They played a 9-man rotation. So the main starters, AD, LeBron, D'Lo, Reeves, and Vanderbilt. Off the bench, they brought in Schroeder, Rui, Troy Brown, and Gabriel. So we'll get to those guys in a minute, but AD is a lock for 40 plus minutes. Same thing for LeBron. D'Lo, 7,400. I think he's an okay play. Like if you're playing multiple lineups, maybe throw him in a captain in one. If you're playing 150, throw him in a few lineups as a captain. Just because we know the upside is there. 44 and a half in the last game against Memphis, 35 in this previous game here against Golden State. So it's like he has enough upside to be an optimal captain where it's like if he goes for like 40, 45, he's having a really solid game. He could be an optimal captain because it allows you to pay up for LeBron, AD. You could probably get a Steph in there as well, or go more balanced to fill out the lineup. And you have enough upside to have the optimal captain, as him being an optimal captain. So there is that ability with him, but we also know there's the ability with him to play 30 minutes and go out there and score 18 to 23 fantasy points, as we saw in these games here against Memphis. So he is super boomer bust. The minutes aren't great, even though he has these good games. His minutes are still limited. He gets in foul trouble at times. He's turnover prone. So for that reason alone, I think he's more of an okay mid range play. It'll be interesting to see the ownership. I do think Reeves will still be more popular than D'Lo, but I do think people are going to see these 2 box scores from D'Lo especially the last 3 games. You're like, oh, I'm going to lock in D'Lo, and so maybe Reeves goes a little bit under owned, and so for that reason, I still prefer Reeves over D'Lo. But D'Lo's a fine play. Reeves, I think, is still a very solid play. I mean, the minutes have been great. 40 minutes pretty much is his kind of his floor and ceiling right now. He's pretty much locked into that 40-minute mark. He's like the second ball handler behind. He's like tied for second ball handler behind LeBron. Or he's tied with LeBron, like second ball handler behind D'Lo. When D'Lo goes out, or if he gets in foul trouble, Reeves will kind of step up and be that ball handler besides LeBron. So the minutes look fantastic. He's usually shooting the ball 10 plus times. He's decently productive. Can go for some rebounds, get a couple steals, get a couple assists. So I really like him here at 7,200. He's my third favorite play on this Lakers side here, followed by LeBron and AD as the 2 main ones. So I do prefer him over D'Lo there at their price tags. Vanderbilt. Now we're getting into the more of the riskier plays here for the Lakers side. Vanderbilt did see a few extra minutes. Usually he's floating anywhere between 15 to 22 minutes. And that's kind of his ceiling game, right? Like I want to expect more than 30. It's one of those things. He's not going to see probably close to 30 minutes unless he's doing very, very solid. But yeah, this is more of his ceiling game here. 26 and a half fantasy points, 26 minutes. He was actually doing solid defense against Steph. So they look to do the same thing today, but it's one of those things where he's foul prone. He's not the best shooter. So if he's in foul trouble, or if he's not shooting the ball well, or if he's just getting cooked by Steph, they will pull him. So that's a risk there. I just don't love the price tag for him. Schroeder, 4,200. The Warriors play small, so it did allow them to go to Schroeder a little bit more than usual. Usually he's floating anywhere between like 15 to, let's say, mid-20s minutes. Sometimes he's productive, sometimes he's not. It's really just kind of a crapshoot random for him. But I think it's a fine value play. Now, if he's going to be extremely high owned, I'd rather maybe take a shot on a Vanderbilt. Or my favorite play of the day, like a value play, is going to be a Rui. I think he can be the Grant Williams from last night for tonight. He only played 11 minutes, but he was super productive in his first 6-minute shift. He went for 6, 1, and 1. And then for some reason, they just did not go to him the rest of the game there. They put him 3 minutes in the second quarter and then 2 minutes in the third quarter. Just because I think Schroeder was doing fine. Anthony Davis obviously was fantastic. So, he's pretty much the backup to AD and LeBron. And they're playing both 40 minutes. So it's hard to get Rui his normal minutes as right now. But I think we can expect at least him getting back to 20 minutes, maybe even mid-20s here. Because it's one of those things where If LeBron or AD get in foul trouble, Rui's the main backup. If the starting five is not able to score, if they're struggling, Rui is the main backup to come off the bench and be super aggressive. We saw in game 1, 2, and 3 against Memphis, he went for 29, 20, and 16. So he does have very, very big upside. He's only 3,800. I think a lot of people are going to overlook him just because of the past 4 games. The minutes went down last game as well compared to the previous 3, where he played the minutes, just wasn't productive. So I like Rui a lot here as a utility spot play for tonight. I do think a lot of people will overlook him. We know the upside is there when it comes to him. He's been a very aggressive scorer, a solid scorer, can get a couple rebounds as well. So I think he's my favorite value play across the board from either team that has kind of, we saw last game, did not have the minutes locked in, but usually has like mid 20s minutes locked in and will be aggressive when he's out there. So there's a lot of things that can definitely go his way to make it more, to make him more optimal. Like as I mentioned, foul trouble for the bigs. Um, uh, Anthony Davis in the starting five, just not being able to score, all that stuff. It will allow Rui to earn even more minutes. So I do love Rui in the spot tonight. Do think he's going way, 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 way overlooked on tonight's slate. Rest of the team here. Troy Brown only played 12 minutes. If you want to take an absolute dart throw, I guess you could. Don't love it though. And then Gabriel only played 4 minutes. So that's kind of my thoughts there on the Lakers side. Moving on to the Warriors side here. The big thing with the Warriors last game was they didn't play anyone over 40 minutes, which is super, super surprising. I think that's really why they lost the game. They played Steph 38. We'll just go through the minutes real fast for the Warriors. They played a 10-man rotation. 37 for Clay. Looney played 29. Wiggins played 34. Draymond played, I think it was 34 as well. And then they played Poole. He played 30. A little bit of extended run there for Poole. They played DiVincenzo. He was off the bench. Gary Payton off the bench there, 12. They played some Moody off the bench there, 6. And then they played some JaMychal Green, which is surprising there at 8 minutes. So they played a 10-man rotation. They gave too many people minutes, and they lost the game because they did not play any of their starters anywhere close to 40 minutes, which is why they lost the game. So I'm expecting huge minutes for the starters today. They really need them to play a lot of minutes tonight, and I'm loving Steph here. It's hard not to get to him. As we know, the floor has been pretty safe for Steph. We know the ceiling's there. If he can go for 50 real life points like he did 2 games ago. So I'm loving Steph. I think right now I'd slightly prefer LeBron in the captain spot to Steph, but I think Steph is a fantastic play there. So we're going to throw him in there in utility as of right now on this side here. And then moving on to Clay, I liked him for a bounce back game that last game. And I guess he had 37 fantasy points, one for 25 points, but still 9 of 25 overall. Did not shoot the ball well, but he's going to shoot the ball a ton, as we know. It's Clay. They're going to need his scoring. So I think we can lock in at least 20 field goal attempts from him, if not more, in the minutes, right? I expect his minutes to go up to close to 40. Same thing with Steph. So I like both of those guys a ton. Looney, if you think he continues his streak of going for Wilt Chamberlain rebound numbers, definitely go to him. It's a little bit hard for me to trust. Also, fun fact, I played against him in high school. I think it was junior year. And no one on earth knows, besides maybe a few people, truly know how good Kevon Looney was in high school and how good he could have been going into UCLA if it wasn't for his hip injuries. Not a lot of people know that. This dude was an absolute dog. He could have been like a point forward. That's how he played in high school, and no one could stop him. And that's why he got that UCLA scholarship. But then obviously he had those hip injuries and surgeries that really kind of derailed his career and pretty much made him immobile. So now he's just more of a just insanely good rebounder. But yeah, this man was insane in high school. He could have been a very, 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 very good NBA player, like all around, like scoring wise, not only rebounding and like assist wise. So fun fact there. But yeah, Looney, 8,000. It's just hard for me to trust him going for, continually going for like 15 plus rebounds. There is some foul trouble guarding the 80s. So I think he's more of an okay play for me. I just don't love the price tag. I don't know if the production can keep up, but if you think it does, definitely go back to him. Wiggins, I expect him to be closer to 40 minutes. He usually is super aggressive against LeBron. Really makes no sense. He's usually pretty calm, but then whenever he plays LeBron, he gets super aggressive. But yeah, I love the minutes. I love the rebounding opportunities. I mean, they're going to need him. So him, Steph, and Clay look great. Same thing with Draymond. I mean, there's just a lot to like here for the Warriors because they all play big minutes. They all should be super productive. So, the only issue here with Draymond is that he's super foul prone at times. There's always that chance he gets thrown out of the game. So I'd slightly prefer Wiggins over Draymond, but they both have upside. Poole more of a GPP play for me. Like it's one of those things where it's like if he's hitting the shots, he will get extended off the bench, but still only saw 30 minutes. Like he's coming off the bench. I don't know. It's just hard to trust there, but I don't mind the price tag at 6,000. I guess he's a fine play when you compare it to the price tags of D'Lo and Reeves. He kind of has similar upside, even though he's not seeing as much minutes. Now for the Warriors side, they really don't have much to like here for the value plays. Like DiVincenzo only saw 8 minutes in the Sacramento game there. 12 minutes in this Lakers game. He's just not really a part of the rotation right now. I think we at least expect 5 from him, 5 to 10 minutes. So it's like, sure, he can land on him. Maybe he gets extended if he's hitting some shots. Someone gets in foul trouble. I don't know. They're just the rotation right now for the Warriors makes no sense when coming off the bench. Gary Payton, I guess it would be my favorite one. He's playing at low teens, mid teens. I don't think we'll see Jermichael Green or Moody. Maybe if we do, maybe 5 minutes at most for each. But I do think the Warriors are going to tighten up the rotation, run all their starters pretty much close to 40 minutes. I would assume 40 for Clay, 40 for Steph, 40 for Wiggins, close to 40 for Draymond. And then Looney will probably play close to 30, maybe 35 at most. And then they'll run minutes to guys like Poole, DiVincenzo, and Gary Payton off the bench. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. But as I mentioned, my favorite value play is going to be Rui there, 3,800. I love the upside there for Rui. I think he's going overlooked. I slightly prefer LeBron to Steph right now in the captain spot, but I think both look fantastic. I prefer them over AD just because I think AD is going to be super, super popular in the captain just because of that box score watching people there from the last game. But yeah, I still love AD. I think he's great. But yeah, it's hard not to love a lot of these Warriors just because the prices are a little bit down. I mean, they should be playing close to 40 minutes. Clay's going to be super aggressive. Same thing with Wiggins. So I think right now the core plays are going to be LeBron, captain, Rui, utility, Steph Curry, utility, and then I'll have updates on my Patreon later today. I'll have a PrizePicks video out after this. So if you guys like the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.